Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Talk with Maya. I am your host, Rafia Tariq, and today we are going to discuss a topic that is important for everyone, the importance of self care and building healthy habits. In our busy lives, we often focus on work, studies, family responsibilities, and goals, but we sometimes forget to take care of ourselves. Self care and healthy habits can improve our physical health, mental well being, and overall quality of life. To help us explore this topic, I am joined by our special guest, Maya. Welcome, Maya.
I love the intro. It's so true that we treat ourselves like a secondary priority. I'm curious when you're in the middle of all those responsibilities, what's the first thing that usually slips first for you?
Maya, to start, what does self care actually mean?
I think people often mistake self care for just the treat yourself moments, like a bubble bath or a fancy coffee. But in reality, it's more about the maintenance, it's the discipline of doing the things that keep your engine running even when you don't feel like it. Like getting enough sleep, setting a boundary, or just knowing when to step away before you hit a wall. It's basically the act of being a good partner to yourself.
Why is self care becoming increasingly important in today's world?
Because we're essentially living in a state of constant noise between the notifications, the pressure to be on 24/7, and the highlight reels we see on social media. Our brains are basically being asked to process a million things a second. It's exhausting. If you don't intentionally carve out space to disconnect and reset, you just end up running on fumes. It's not just about avoiding burnout, it's about actually having the energy to enjoy the things you're working so hard for.
Many people think self care is a luxury. Is that true?
Not at all. It's more like oxygen. You can't pour from an empty cup, and pretending that ignoring your own needs is a badge of honor usually just leads to a crash. When you treat self care as optional, you're actually just borrowing energy from tomorrow at a really high interest rate.
What are some simple self care habits people can practice daily?
I think the best way to start is by keeping it ridiculously simple. Something like the micro habit approach. Instead of trying to overhaul your entire life, just pick one thing. Maybe it's 5 minutes of mindful breathing before you check your phone in the morning, or a quick walk around the block after lunch. The goal isn't to do everything perfectly, it's just to prove to yourself that you're worth 5 minutes of your own time. Do you think people struggle more with finding the time or actually sticking to the habit?
How do healthy habits affect our long term success?
I think they're the foundation. If you're only chasing a goal with intensity, but you don't have the habits to support it, you're basically building a house on sand. Long term success isn't about one big push, it's about what you do consistently when no one is watching. When your health and mental clarity are locked in, you can actually sustain that high level of performance without burning out. It's the difference between a sprint and a marathon.
Why do many people struggle to maintain healthy habits?
Hmm. I think we often fall into the trap of expecting instant results. People want to feel the change immediately, and when they don't, they assume the habit isn't working and quit. Plus, there's this weird cultural obsession with all or nothing. The idea that if you can't do a full hour at the gym, the 10-minute walk doesn't count. Just makes the whole process feel more intimidating than it needs to be.
What is the best way to build a new habit?
I'm a big fan of habit stacking. It's basically where you take a habit you already have, like brushing your teeth or making coffee, and you anchor your new habit to it. So If you want to start journaling, you tell yourself, after I pour my coffee, I'll write one sentence. It removes the friction of having to remember to do it and turns the existing routine into a trigger. Does that sound like something that would actually work for most people, or does it feel too simplistic?
How important is sleep as a part of self care?
I think it's absolutely vital. Sleep is essentially the brain's cleanup crew. If you're skipping it to get more done, you're actually just operating with a foggy lens. It's hard to be emotionally intelligent or creative when your brain is physically exhausted. For a lot of people, sleep is the first thing they sacrifice, but it's usually the first thing they need most.
What role does exercise play in self care?
It's more than just about the physical stuff. It's a way to clear the mental clutter. Moving your body is like a reset button for your mood and your stress levels. I've heard that even a quick stretch or a short walk can shift your entire perspective when you're feeling stuck. It's basically a way to tell your brain that you're taking a break from the noise.
Can self care improve mental health?
Absolutely. It creates a buffer between you and the stress of the world. When you have these small, consistent acts of kindness toward yourself, you're not just feeling better in the moment, you're actually building emotional resilience. It's the difference between being knocked over by a wave and knowing how to surf.
How can busy people find time for self care?
I think the secret is to stop looking for a block of time and start looking for the cracks in the day. You know, those 5 minutes while the microwave is running or the time you spend commuting. If you wait for a free hour to appear on your calendar, it's probably never going to happen. It's about integrating it into your life rather than adding it to your to do list. Do you feel like you're usually the one who puts everyone else's needs before your own?
How does technology influence our healthy habits?
It's a bit of a double edged sword. On one hand, we have all these incredible apps for meditation, sleep tracking, and fitness that make it easier to stay accountable. But on the other hand, technology is often the very thing that pushes us to ignore our habits. When you're scrolling through a feed at midnight, you're not just losing sleep, you're actively choosing a digital distraction over your own well being. It basically turns your downtime into on time.
What advice would you give to someone who feels overwhelmed and exhausted?
First, I tell them that it's okay to not be okay. I'd encourage them to stop trying to optimize their way out of exhaustion. When you're truly burnt out, the answer isn't a new productivity hack, it's permission to actually stop. I'd suggest they start with one tiny, non negotiable act of kindness for themselves, even if it's just taking a real nap or staring at a wall for 10 minutes without a screen. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is absolutely nothing at all. Does that feel too passive, or do you think people actually need to hear that?
What is one healthy habit everyone should start today?
If I had to pick just one, it would be a gratitude practice, just taking a moment each day to acknowledge a few things that are actually going well. Even the tiny things completely shifts your brain's filter. It moves you from focusing on what's missing to what's already there. And that's a huge win for your mental health. Do you have a go to thing you're grateful for today?
Finally, what message would you like our audience to remember about self care?
I'd want them to know that self care isn't selfish, it's an act of survival. If you don't take the time to maintain yourself, you eventually run out of everything you have to give to other people, your work, and your dreams. So be kind to yourself, not because you've earned it by being productive, but simply because you're human and you deserve to feel okay.
Thank you, Maya, for sharing such valuable insights with us today. Today's discussion reminded us that self care is not about being selfish, it's about maintaining our health, happiness, and ability to handle life's challenges By building healthy habits and making our well being a priority, we can live more balanced and fulfilling lives. Thank you to everyone for joining us. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, take care of yourself and keep building healthy habits.
It was such a pleasure being part of the episode. I really enjoyed the flow today. Do you think you'll keep the few parts where we push back on each other, or are you planning to edit those for the final cut?